Welcome back, everybody. Now we are moving on to the last session of 2 days event for Agile Network India's June events. And time is flying so fast that in no time from first session to last session, here we are. So this session is by Gurugram chapter about total product experience versus total consumer experience. And we are glad to have Harsha Vardhan with us, who is VP Software Engineering at Optum Global Solutions. Before we start this session, let me thank our founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. It is a leading consulting and training service provider, helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers of niche publishing services and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. You can find out more details at www.innovationroots.com. We would also like to thank Gile as a sponsor, which is a product offering from Tata Consultancy Services Limited. It is a purely cloud-based enterprise agile planning tool along with DevOps capabilities. Enterprises can use Gile to adopt agile practices or scale across multiple Scrum and Kanban teams using enterprise scaling frameworks such as SAFe, Disciplined Agile, LESS, and more. You can try out Gile for free for up to 20 users for 30 days by signing up at gile.io or reach out to us for any inquiries or exclusive product demos. You can check out the Gile page at Agile Network India's website for more information. Some small steps to be followed for our participants. For tomorrow's events also, let me just specifically mention that join the event 5 minutes prior so that you're well settled. Use high quality speakers or headphones for better sound quality. Please keep your microphones muted and videos disabled as this may cause disturbance to the speaker and bandwidth issues. At any point of time you have questions, please make use of the chat box. At the end of the session, the facilitator or moderator will read out the questions to the speaker as per the time available in the hand. I also request everybody to fill in the feedback forms, which we'll be sharing in the chat box. That will help us to improve in the future events. And we really appreciate your cooperation in following these simple steps. And I would now like to call upon Harsha for this session. And Harsha, when I think about this topic, product experience versus consumer experience, I immediately think of Aston Martin's struggle to survive in the market. Once upon a time, it was one of the leading premier automobiles manufacturer, and it has seen approximately 7 failures in its life so far. The CEOs has changed. It was about to bankrupt a couple of times, and recently the CEO has been changed. And the Mercedes head has joined in 2020 to Aston Martin. Despite being one of the greatest products of automobile industry, it failed to survive on a continuous pace. So when I think about this topic, I think of it, and we are looking forward to explore this more with you on this discussion. And over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Nupur. Thanks Agile Network India Innovation Roots for really having such a fantastic platform for all of us, and my pleasure to sharing some of my experiences, and thanks Nupur for setting some of the expectations here as well, right, on the product and the consumer journey. So what I'm going to do, I think, and before I go there, first of all, thank you for all the participants, because I believe spending time during the weekend is so important, and I think that really help us, all of us, to kind of come together as a community and really started thinking, really started bringing the change to our community, and I think that's my starting point. I mean, the future doesn't happen just like that. We all create it, and thank you all of you for creating it, being part of this journey, and I'm happy to join all of you in this kind of conversation here as well. Very brief introduction. I'm Harshvardhan. I'm a software engineer working with Optum Global. And of course, I've been leveraging a lot of platform in the forum by Agile Network India past many years. Being part of Gurgaon chapter, also got opportunity to be visited some of the other conferences and other places as well to learn. So excited to use now all the virtual platform like this to share some of our experiences. So I'll go there. And as an agenda for next 30 to 40 minutes, I'll be, of course, sharing my experiences in the journey, how things have been changing around the product in the context of technology or the way digital is coming, how things are shifting towards a typical engineering organization to a product organization, and then in the context of consumer. So, and of course, I'll touch upon the economic value and how things are so important of being human in this, especially in this kind of scenario where we all have been going through a difficult phase all along due to the pandemic and so on. So that's my kind of uh, context all around. Going deeper, I mean, I would like to just start from a point that, hey, uh, all of us, it's very important for us to know our consumer, especially when they're different from the customer that we all serve, right? And that's helped us a lot of time and energy while creating our product strategy, our marketing strategy, our experience and serving to them, right? And many examples all around us, right? uh, One of the examples in top of my mind, and I thought of putting this picture over here, when we look at any of the kids product, where for food or for their toys, um, the customer is actually the parents who go and buy it, right? uh, but who are the one who are using it are the little kids. And then look at the different perspective over here. Kids wanted to have fun. That's their primary kind of perspective, right? For toys or even for food, they wanted to eat it on their own way. They wanted to have their own way of kind of experiencing it. Whereas as a parents, our focus is more on is it healthy, is it safe, is it educational? So these are two different perspectives for the product, and it's very important for us to know these perspective as we start thinking about the product feature, quote unquote, and the experience as we go along. And I think as we talk about experiences, very important for all of us, especially the uh, engineering community, the product community, is how can we really maximize those experiences? And then that's why I wanted to talk about it and then go into how we can do that. So from an experience maximization perspective, of course, there are many scale through which, or many lenses through which we can look at it. One of the lenses started looking from an experience start with an interaction, right? And this should lead to more participation, and that has to convert into continuous engagement, right, or ongoing engagement, and that should start converting into greater satisfaction, leading to a loyalty, or we can say retention, and ultimately has to turn up or to an advocating experience, either on behalf of the product or the business, promotion to your own friends or colleagues, or even to strangers, right? Look at the product reviews, right, that we are getting for different experiences that we have. So I mean, that's the paradigm which is happening. And a different way to look at those paradigm, I thought of just bringing one of a way that stuck to me and that I try to practice in my own world as well, is look at the customer experience is definitely the paradigm that we all are kind of looking into it. And then how we really look at from the perspective of employee experience. And I tell you why I thought of bringing it over here. I mean, and this is one of the research data that I'm putting it over here, uh, which says that 80%, 87% of customer-facing employee, or the workforce that we are doing, they wanted to create a superior customer experiences, wherein just a flip side of it, 57% don't feel they are enabled to do so. I mean, such a contradictory statement. This is one of the Gartner survey that I could able to find it over here and thought it's relevant for this group to say. And I'll go a little deeper over here. What does it really mean when we really talk about this kind of paradigm that's there? And then to really go deeper over here, and I just wanted to kind of define from a total experience, complete kind of uh, blueprint perspective, how that looks like. So customer experience and an employee experience, I just see it as a two paradigm, uh, multiple ways of looking into it. One of the way of looking into it is if your employee is not only engaged but highly enabled to do it, then you will by default you will start getting higher customer experience. And to do that, there are a lot of practices and tools that we have to put in place. And that should kind of resonate and giving you the total experience that we are talking. Now, one of the things or a couple of things that on those area is, one is definitely the customer experience piece of it, or sorry, the UX piece of it, which is more onto the customer side, looking more on a user experience as a usability and the design. I'm sure we all use these word very loosely these days, whether connecting to customer journey map and those kind of stuff. We talks about how the product and the engagement with the product by a different persona that it happened, right? It is typically the customer experience part of it. Then also look at from a omni-channel or multi-channel experiences perspective as well. Especially in this digital world, we have multiple devices and touch point and the modalities to interact, right? It's very important to consider that from a usability perspective, that how these things are coming together in the customer journey. And then typically, last 1.5 year, our learning into the COVID time has, of course, increased all our digital experiences, moving from a experiences which is more on a keyboard and screen to like of leveraging chatbots, making it more virtual. This session is one of the example, right? And then we get into more augmented reality, we get into more mix of online and offline kind of experiences as well. And then these experiences together has definitely got more intertwined together. It's creating a different, or actually expecting us to create a different experience strategy, which is needed to align, look at our business experience in a holistic way, and then how can we really go and address those. So this looks little hazy. I'm using a lot of words and everything here, trying to summarize it in a simple chart kind of stuff, table, easy for us to relate, which is more about looking at our total experience. And as I talk about, there are four things that I put it, which is the omni-channel MX, multi-channel experience, user experience, customer experience, and employee experience. I mean, we need to bring all these things together to really transformation happen, or in a way, digital transformation start happening, started giving us a meaningful outcome piece of it. And of course, if one of these pieces are missing, you will see very obvious things which will be getting fall within the cracks over here, right? If your multi-channel is missing, which means you are just looking at into one channel and not looking at all other possible channels that can happen, you will end up having a poor implementation. If UX or user experience piece is not being considered as a design thinking part of it as a usability perspective, we will have a poor adoption, right? We may have everything done, but you may not see a lot of people coming, or stickiness will not be there, right? Customer experience is not there, CX we don't focus, of course it will be poor alignment. And of course, if we are not doing the CX piece, or employee experience piece is missing, or your employees are not motivated, they don't have the right tools and the technologies and other stuff, tools are in place, it will be poor enablement. I mean, you will not move as fast as you want it to be moving into it. So that's a quick summary. I mean, and in any product or any area project where you are working together today, you could able to do this kind of chart and see a quick 2x2 matrix and see, okay, are you doing it, you are not doing it, and does it really give you an kind of perspective of what are things which is missing, and by doing it, hopefully it will able to bring you together the value that from an experience maximization perspective that it comes here. Uh, moving next, and that is where I thought of just sharing some of my my own learning and the way that I'm doing in my own work. Plus, I have been kind of learning it from my other colleagues in my own company, in my other organization as well. Because this is the question I always keep getting. Okay, we all understand it. That experience is so important. We understand there are various tenets of experiences, but how to really transition? Because we all are in the some level of maturity in our own way. How can we really transform either to a digital organization or a product centric kind of organization? And I thought of simplifying it in a too simple kind of representation over here. And then that is the journey many of us could able to relate, that how we have been as an IT organization, typically on the left hand side, have been working earlier, where we have been different business unit. Each business unit have their own kind of IT team. They do have their own, in a simple word, I'm just putting plan, build, and the run kind of business. And then to bring the synergy, what we have started looking as an IT as a service overall. And then on the top, you put your IT as a horizontal. Then we have a common team who are doing maybe a business focused team where more focus on the plan and the roadmap and the annual planning and those kind of stuff. We have an engineering team who are doing all the build, and then that is where all the DevOps and those things started coming. And then of course there is a run on operational team, which could be a mix of business and technology team to do that. So that's a typical kind of engineering thing that we have been doing, decentralized to centralized. And then again, I just wanted to be very clear over here. It is not one versus another, depending on what kind of industry we are, what kind of maturity we have. Things do move back forth as well, right? And then we see a value in everything that we do. Now, thinking this conversation a little forward, how can we really start moving as a product-centric organization? On the right-hand side, this is just one of the views uh, that stuck to me. That okay, let's get it cleared, and this is very much resonating some of the changes happening across some of this industry as well. That of course, each of the business unit, uh, we start looking how can they identify their product lines or the product, and each of the products have their own engineering team which they do plan, build, run, right? And then at the bottom you create a lot of platform thinking, wherein you bring all the compose, we can say enterprise architecture kind of thing, data platform or those kind of stuff. So that become your platform, which is more of a in platform as a service, infrastructure as a service kind of stuff. That means your engineering team is not really worried about the deployment anymore, not worried about the storage and those kind of thing anymore. That all become a services. And what engineering team started doing is connecting as a product team. They started working with a product line or one or multiple product along with there and started building the product. So that's more about thinking, started going as a product thinking over there. And if you just overlap it with I just talk about on the different experience thinking on the customer experience, employee, UX and MX, this very much overlap. Each of the layer has its own kind of priority, own kind of deliverable that really matches with them, right? And the shift that's what is happen is actually moving your product centric delivery organization to apply really the total experience strategy, if you say so, right? Wherein if you look at from the top, customer experience perspective is very much aligned to customer value and the business outcome. Employee experience next layer is more ensuring business unit employee are empowered for customer centricity. So that's more about the domain knowledge. They understand the expectation within that business line and so on. And then user experience is to ensure consistency of the design and usability for all the end users. So that happens at the product line level. And then at the plan build or the engineering level where we build things, right? That is more about the omni-channel, multi-channel experience. That's more about architecting, integrating, developing all the systems, uh, services, APIs, and application, which is absolutely focus on scalability and adaptability part of it. So, I mean, that's one visual for me. I mean, there are still decentralized IT, we move to centralized, and then within centralized, how can we really started looking one product line connected to a business, and each layer have their own deliverable, which are related to experiences. For various experiences that we talk about customer, employee, user, and multi-channel or omni-channel experiences, and that together it will give a kind of total experience uh, kind of outcome to our consumer that we serve, very importantly, right? Moving next, so yes, I think so what? So this is the kind of questions in everybody's mind that, okay, good thoughts. For some, for few, it may be academic. For few, it's one of the many models that do exist, right? We all know that any strategy is as good as its execution, and that is very important, right? We talk about product-centric model. There are various various methodologies, right? We all talk, we all see the value, and there is no one versus another. So it's very important, and that's why I thought of just connecting, having this question, so what kind of stuff, and then bringing at least couple of my perspective and example to show about it. And one of the example, very popular, I'm sure you must have seen these images more often than not, is all about the economic value as we moved uh, uh, that we start from a raw commodity that really transform into goods, which are then wrapped into the services and finally transformed into experiences. I mean, very candid example, right? And here, if you can see, each level increases the value to the customer, very important. And accordingly, the price to the customer, or actually the other way around, the willingness of the customer to pay for it actually increases, right? And generally, if you look at it, broader perspective, the price sensitivity decreases. Actually, the profit or the margins that started increasing as we gave it move into in this value chain. And also competition start decreases as you move up or progress into the value chain. There is a lot more competition when things are at the commodity space or in the product space, right? Mostly at the product space, you will see a lot of competition happening. Everybody is kind of bringing the same thing in the now. What things start getting differentiated is when this product's getting converted into services, right? There you see all this differential coming, and it completely get the competition go away, and the user's ability to, or the consumer ability to pay is no more services or the product, but it's all about experiences, right? Starbucks is a great example, right? We are paying not just for those Java beans, but it's all about all the experiences, all the conversation that we have. We all go to Starbucks for a lot of good meetings, lot of different kind of visits that we all plan and choose Starbucks as a kind of place for us to meet beyond coffee, right? And then that's what happened when the services gets completely moved into the experience domain of it, right? Many such examples, but this is, I believe, as we talk about experiences into the product, the things that's moving is absolutely from the economic value perspective is about the value is about progression to the economic value, and that happens really when the products move to services and to experience. Moving next, and then actually that's where is the crux of all the conversation that I wanted to bring it here, is complete another big example. It is the example coming from Chipotle, one of the US-based food chain for delicious and healthy fast food. And then what has happened in last 6 months over there is fantastic, and I can't really stop myself for bringing this kind of examples over here. What the company have done recently is they have actually activated all their available resources, all their employees, online, offline, vendors, and everything, to respond to the customer needs during this pandemic. And then what does it really mean as the crisis happened, as it's then the first impact where all the fast food and then this kind of industry over here. Chipotle turned, actually they're completely taken their marketing strategy to the different level into they use the word culture hunter. And then what they started saying is, hey, stop doing what you're doing right now, because that's not working. And let's start listening to our customers and then figure out what we need for them to help them right now in the current scenario, right? And then give us your ideas. And that completely changed the paradigm, I tell you. I mean, what happened, and then when they started talking to the customers, is not like, of course it is one-on-one and when they are meeting, that's one part of it, but started using the social medias, right, to connecting to the people. And then what employee discovered during this entire exercise is various categories of, or you can say different personas have different kind of feelings, different kind of anxiety or different kind of experiences that they were going through. I mean, they have developed that the teens, they were sad because their graduations were getting cancelled. So what the Chipotle started doing, they started doing online celebrations for them. There were a lot of people who were being bored sitting at home. Chipotle created concert series for them and started bringing some of the performance online. A lot of people who are kind of lonely, they are just staying alone at home. What Chipotle started doing is started putting together a lunch club where they are just trying to connect people together and then having lunch together, chatting and celebrating over a chat kind of stuff. So in this process, what happened is Chipotle, in terms of completely reimagine the market presence that they have, to more of a human company, if you say so. And then no surprise, right? A company like Chipotle, which has a no drive-through, I think that the tripled, the 3x growth into digital sales, where most of their competitors or most of their peers has to shut down. And I think that's the power of experience, in my view. That's the power of knowing your consumer. That's the power of leveraging the digital. That's the power of uh, bringing all the channel of experiences that we are talking is coming together. And then many people started saying that it's like humanizing your marketing, meaning B2B or B2C, that as a marketing channel that still exists. But what happened is that's become a commodity, right? The last slide that we are talking, that is just a commodity. That's just a starting point. And then all this transformation happens later. Similarly, I think on the marketing space, B2B, B2C are just a commodity. Everybody is there. There's of course a lot of competition. There is all the kind of stuff happen. But human to human is where things are completely, I think, kind of getting changed. And it is not about this is where the focus is on establishing the relationship. And then you started grow the business client relationship beyond the traditional way of looking into things. And then that is where kind of experiences come into play. And then we started seeing kind of leveraging digital as a big way to know our customer, know our consumer again, as a as an underlying stuff over there, understand the difference between a customer and the consumer, understand their expectation from the product that we look at it. So starting whether from a marketing strategy perspective, starting servicing strategy, maybe designing the product, and then of course into the entire life cycle of the product, how can it becomes more personal, quote unquote. I mean, that's the thing. I'll just kind of stop here, 30 minutes. I think maybe you'd like to take some of the questions here. So the idea here is, I thought of to summarize here is, how can we get more high tech and high touch, which will be making us more human, and that will be the success of the product from maximizing experience per se. Thank you. I mean, open to any questions, feedback over here.
Thank you, Harsha. That was an amazing session. And yeah, we have a couple of questions here. So let me just read those out for you. And we have approximately 22 minutes in hand. So you can answer accordingly. We have enough time to answer the questions. If you want to elaborate more, feel free to do that. So the first question is, please share some key tips for customer loyalty. I think every organization looks for it, right? And that is something that I think ascertain the survival of the organization as well. How the loyal customer base actually defines how much are you going to survive. What do you think are some key tips that everybody should keep in mind?
Absolutely. Thank you. I mean, thanks for asking this question. What is the customer loyalty piece of it, right? And let me answer it from two perspective. One, typically as it depend on where we are seeing ourselves. If we are more of a, let's say I'm a product company and providing those product services to my customer, uh, that's the number one part of it. And second part is I am the customer, and how and then I have the consumer. So that's the two piece of it over here. Now I assume the question is mostly on the first part, but I'll try to answer both. Now typically what happens on when you are a service provider to a customer, in this case, let's say I'm building a digital product mm, to a food company, to a food joint, right? It's more about ordering system or the scheduling system or online ordering system that I'm building. Now, what is very important for me to look at, not just the customer, but again, the customer of customer, which is typically a consumer. But if there are nested relation, we need to understand that and see what is the success of my customer. So my customer wanted to have more stickiness over there. So people coming to their platform, they should be, they are ordering their food, they are sticking to them, they are liking, there is a food pattern that they are looking into it. They are switching their food pattern, and accordingly, we are giving those feedback. to their backend kind of things, and they are getting ready for it. And so when I, as a product company, start putting my own KRAs or my own uh, kind of success criteria, it should not be just on the work that the company has asked me to do. Company may have asked me to put a online platform, but also look at the why they have asked me to do, what is their kind of business priorities behind them, and if I'm able to do that, that's a joint success. And I think that goes a long way. That help me as a provider to understand my customer need, and then we have success, we are together in this journey of success, and I'm sure the chances of being success is more. It is much beyond than any kind of uh, contracting and any kind of short-term association that we have. So I believe that goes a long way, and it's very important not just to follow the kind of contracting or the work that we do, but together how we build the success. And I believe all the latest we follow all the agile practices and other are very much into the same line, which is together you do MVP, you look at their success, and then started broadening it versus getting more into the contracting and then getting into the trap of just a vendor or supplier kind of relationship. And then the second part is, as a product company, when you have a consumer, again, as the same example, we have a food chain, we have a good digital platform, but looking at the stickiness from the consumer is absolutely, I believe, that is today, in my view, all the total experiences kind of stuff, all the analytics things that are available, if you start looking into it and started changing and giving a kind of responding to the change, is very important. Because what many times happen, and that's just my experiences, with the lot of analytics, lot of technology available today, we do have a lot of feedback, we do have a lot of data, but our ability to bring those changes are not in the same order or not in the same pace. And even if we do that, are we really able to communicate it to the segment where we are making this change, and again taking their feedback? So we should be keep doing more of such thing, which is again can be more personalized. You can look at subset of people. Let's say for a food chain, again, you introduce a breakfast item, knowing the fact that people need different kind of coffee taste in the morning, and different kind of breads and other. Look at if the combo is helping them, and then you see that if people are going for more for a combo, or they are ordering more individual items and creating their own combos. Look at those pattern and start kind of giving them a different combo basis what people are started customizing themselves, and then you put those combo and start saying that this we have done basis the feedback and the pattern that we are receiving from this area of the city. Maybe folks in Delhi have a different food habit, people in the Mumbai have a different food habit, so we may need to start acknowledging it and being very candid about it, and then see how it goes. Is I believe these are the customer stickiness, which in my view, again, how can we getting more personal about it, how can be more transparent, and then be very open about why this change, whom this change happening, take feedback, and see that how the value things kind of working over here. Long
Yeah,
answer, hope it really helps.
it does, and I'm sure the person who was asked has also got the answer. We have next question by Ritik. Ritik
Mhm.
is asking, can you please provide example of MX?
Example of MX? Oh, sure, of
Yeah,
course. So yeah, so look at, I think what's happening on the MX area is typically it's all about different devices that we have. So it is all about multimedia, uh, and again I'll go in the food example itself. If we all know that even it is no more a laptop or computer age, even it is a web-based application, people are opening mobile, right? Whether you have an app or you have a browser, it's go over there. And then complete kind of paradigm which has happened, how can many of those things becoming more like a one click? We need to create our design, create our things such a way that you know why people are coming to you, and then you should able to have those options such a way that they do one click, and maybe most click transactions are done. uh, all those nested transaction, all those unnecessary information to take them through a journey from a home page to a product catalog to a product, and all those has gone. I mean, those are not, those are our old way of designing the stuff. It's all about landing it over there. So that's number one. uh, and then so make sure that it really address all the devices that we have at least. And it is not an afterthought. It's not that I will launch my web app first and then do for other device compatibility later. Because once a product, once you switch off, you will never go again. That's number one. And number two is online offline mode, because it's very important for us to understand it is no more about bandwidth. It is no more about I'm getting a signal or not a signal, those kind of stuff. It's about in the morning or in the night, I wanted to share something, and even if I don't need a response at that point of time, I just need to share my expectation. I need to share just my queries or my ask, and I need somebody to work on it in the evening. When I come, I have 3-4 options, and then I need to connect together. So multimedia, when you say multimodal experiences or omni-channel experiences, is all about if I would like to do both online offline. That means I would like to do any transaction, which is fine. I would like, maybe I'd like to do some chat, whether I can do through WhatsApp or I can do some chatbot, or I may like to call you and do it. But make sure that all these things are integrated. It will be completely switching it off a customer who has say something on any of the chat, and then when the order, and when you are doing an order, you are not really connected the dots. You all know, and I'm keep giving the food example because maybe I'm using it recently a lot as well. They keep asking for your preferences, asking for your allergies. Now if I have given those things in one of my order through chat, I wanted to make sure that on other platform, as a user, they know me and they get connected. So that is in my, that is the multi-model, multi-channel experiences. You connect one for a product, you have shared your experiences, make sure that's get integrated, make sure that get captured, and then that is the aha moment for the user as well, that you said once, it's all set. They know your preferences, they know what time you need, they know that these are your limits within which if they serve you, you are, and then lot of those things are working so well these days, um, because we even ourselves forget some of the preferences and some of the stuff that we have shared to them before, whether we need super hot, we need a lot of kind of spices on the top and all those. But another thing I just wanted to share, while some of those things are given, maybe you need to confirm or you need to add while giving the services back. And that was a topic I was talking about, that if we know about customer experiences, we know about consumer preferences, let's communicate to them, personalize to them. And these are the opportunity to personalize, saying, hey, you have this product 3 months back, and you know that time you asked us to add more spices to your food. Now we are in the monsoon season, so do you think we should just go ahead with that, or maybe you would like to cut it half or maybe add something else? So no, more and more we do. I mean, that's what is MX all about. It is not just about devices, believe me. When we think just as an engineering perspective, it is more about devices. It is a web app application or mobile application, and all the devices does it good. So that's a engineering view to it. Experience view to it is all the interaction that's happening through multiple channel. Is it getting integrated, and we are communicating it back to the customer? Very important. When we are talking to them, we bring those things together. And I'm sure as a consumer, you start thinking it, you must, believe me, you may will start liking it, think, hey, yes, somebody is, you may see that you will actually started getting a feeling of caring over here. Somebody started caring for it, asking you, we have done this for you last time, can I do more about it or less about it? And those are the one which bring more stickiness, and then you can say more loyalty to the product for a consumer.
All right, thank you, Harsha, for the detailed answer. We have next question by Renju. She asking, what would be the top value additions expected from operating agile as a methodology towards the digitization initiatives of an organization?
Perfect, thank you for asking it. And this was, I believe, agile by design, by all agile manifesto, agile principles are actually work work for that, right? If you look at it, we are all about doing a smaller team, doing a smaller work, keep taking feedback, inspect and adapt. I mean, so agile by design is actually work for it. But as we scale, things started slipping, right? Or when we started putting big stuff, when you started scaling, things started going off the track, or our focus starts becoming more the engineering thing and so on. So I believe by following all the agile principle, we are all set. I mean, agile is based, all the value of agile is actually looking consumer in the center and then working for them. uh, I mean, this diagram that I thought of putting together is more of a telling the same thing. uh, how are we constructing the agile team, right? Look at how are we really focused towards a one product line or one or multiple product, and then and then scaling it up for one business and putting together. I mean, and then looking at value coming from all this. So I believe, um, maybe one thing that we should do more, and thank you for asking this question, I believe maybe we should have very specific uh, value statement in the as a product feature in terms of how are we really looking at CX, EX, UX, and MX. Typically, I know, at least I'll reflect myself, we focus a lot more on these days, started focusing a lot more on UX and MX. MX is more on the engineering side, UX is more on the design side. But maybe we need to, and an EX we do separately. We have all our employee experience surveys and employee kind of check-ins and those stuff. How can we really relate in the context of the product that we are working and the customer experiences, wherein maybe I know most of the organizations started doing NPS, net promoter score kind of stuff. uh, Attach it to the scrum team as well would be a big win. To be very frank, um, I have not done that to a level. We are doing it, but mostly broad. We are focusing more on the UX and MX for a product or the scrum team. EX happens separately and CX happens separately. But maybe bringing this together from a success measure would be a good win. So thank you for asking. Even that's one of my takeaway. I'm noting it down, that how can we, when we say this team is more successful, how can we really started connecting all those four dots for the team and started drawing the correlation over here.
Thank you, Harsha. Yeah, let's move on to the next question, which is about the certification. So Ritik is asking, what are the popular certifications in the area of UX and UI?
Okay, it's not top of the mind, but I believe there are, I mean, there is, I'm not just in the top of my mind, but there are a lot of, I think, industry certification on the UX and UI side, which is more, of course, relating to customer journey map, knowing your customers, and then connecting it back to the how the UI, and of course a lot of people get confused between UI UX as well, wherein my understanding, folks, here is UI is more about the implementation part of it. UX is more about designing and understanding the customer input part of it. These are two different kind of two different paradigm altogether. We use it because UX has to be implemented by UI. So UI is more about, are we using Angular, Node.js, and those latest kind of tech stack over there, which is easy to implement and easy to communicate kind of stuff. UX is more about behind the scene, right? What is the thinking behind it? Why we need something on the left hand side versus right? And as I was talking, one click. I don't really need to navigate many and the layers, or not so many clicking and everything. How can I minimize the clicks? And then what all I wanted to see as an option. Maybe I always wanted to just to see two options. Remaining I can just see as a more, and then I can go, because another thing, we don't want our customers to get confused. If most of the time they have to switch between two, we just show those two and put others, so that they are very clear and their decision time is like in fraction of second. So in terms of, maybe I can give you some of the list later. Of course, we have a certification available for UI UX more clearly. Then MX is easy. On the product side as well, we have a good amount of certification available. I know some of the product certification done by IIM Bangalore, IIM Calcutta, they are pretty good. They have been started bringing all these things together that I'm talking about here. They are bringing the business aspect, it, technology aspect of it, and then giving a as a good package on the product. I don't remember the quote unquote name of the program, but maybe you can look at some of the product offering from IIMs.
Thank you, Harsha. We have 5 minutes left. We'll try to answer one or two questions, whichever way it is possible. So there's one
Maybe one
question
more.
that, yeah, let's do that. We have a
Yeah.
question by Prashant Gulwadi. He's asking, we can use evidence-based management to test the various hypotheses of our digitization initiatives.
Yep.
What is your view? What is your view on this?
No, absolutely. I mean, thank you for bringing that topic and that looking at all the evidence-based input to digitize stuff. And I tell you from the uh, industry where I come from, I work in a healthcare technology organization, and in the healthcare, all those kind of insight, those are happening. All the experiences, those are happening. There is a big push about what is evidence-based care. Now, what does it really mean in my view? So again, looking at a consumer, whether it is healthcare or anything else, I believe, and then thank you for asking that, the real trigger is all, it is not just about generating data by going through the transaction. It going through the all the evidence-based stuff. Evidence-based thinking means there are transactions which have all the data available and which has, it is not just the hypothesis. It is not just about input and the output. It's about scientifically proven kind of input and then maybe some other additional insight over there and giving you an output, and then that actually those all started becoming the absolutely becoming the feature of the product that we do. So in the healthcare, let me tell you, so in the healthcare typically what happens is when you are getting hospitalized, right, a doctor or physicians, I think suggest you to do go through this multiple kind of uh, diagnosis test and then recommend you to go through this kind of medical procedure and whatnot. What evidence based analytics help over there is what are the, not from a guidance perspective, but what are the right level of tests that's happening, and as an organization do we have those guidelines available. Somebody has to do go through a knee replacement. Do we really know that what are those conditions for knee replacement? It's not just about I have a pain and I should better be going to replacement, right? There has to be certain level of degeneration happening over there. There's certain level of age and other medical conditions that you have been having there. In US, typically there are very detailed guideline from their CMS or the Center of uh, Medicare and Medicaid Services perspective. In India, I'm not very sure that we have a government guideline perspective as well, but then we have those standardized stuff through which the takes kind of decision. Coming to a general in any other industry, retail kind of industry, food industry, and other, I believe if, how we can draw a parallel. We should be absolutely evidence-based things becomes a trigger to give a feedback to the product feature, or at least from a certain user group, if there are a certain kind of trend emerging, those kind of customized things can be put for them, especially for gaming industry, for food industry, and those kind of stuff, and that can eventually become standards and industry become a guideline that become a maybe benchmark for others to follow as well. So I believe evidence-based things help to standardize things, help to create a general kind of baseline across the industry, across the product experiences that we do, which may also help us not to ask for more when things are not needed. That kind of stuff, especially in the area where there is a no control on the cost and those kind of stuff. So, example like healthcare. So thank you for asking. I mean, that's absolutely a good trigger, good value of implementing a lot of digital and analytics to do as a input to the feature itself of all
Mhm.
the evidence-based trigger that we all receive.
Thank you, Harsha. We have 1 minute left, and I would like to ask a question if you can briefly cover that. So, we are living in the age of millennials now, and they are using the digital media very often and in a very large volumes. And I
Hmm.
think they create a value creation network currently. How can we, as organization, leverage the remarkable potential of this generation? Because that's going to define the future of organizations.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I believe, and I'll just start from the first screen. I believe that all the millennial and the current generation that they started, I believe they are the one who start their question, who start their work by experience. So and my experience, I tell you, in my team and other areas, I mean, actually all they are some of the millennial who are early started. They are more successful product owners or the product person versus people who have been in the industry for 10 years. Knowing the fact that our millennials have the very kind of what should I say? I mean, very authentic and then very kind of default way of started thinking as a consumer, started thinking more as an experience. So I believe that give them the freedom to do things. And here is the stuff that I was talking. This employee experience. We need to make sure that our employees having all the tools, and not from a tech perspective, but the empowerment to ask questions, make those change. Because we keep talking, and and this data is all coming from a survey. So it is not about that as a company, as an organization, as a product, I wanted to make it more customer facing. If my employee is more engaged, if the employees have their belief system and empowered, they will be bringing their product thinking and design will at least start from satisfaction and go advocacy. I'm sure their thinking is not coming from interaction, participation, engagement, and all along. They are very fast in their thinking. So two takeaways I have in my own work: A, keep the high motivated employees, give them the empowerment, all the things that they need. Number one. And number two, don't judge them by, oh no, you need to have certain year of experience to play that role, kind of stuff. No, they have their own experiences. They are in their thinking, they are far ahead of some of the stuff that we believe has earned only by doing things. They are all set there. Maybe start experimenting, giving them some of the customer facing role, give him the product role, marketing role. I'm sure they will be more successful and they'll bring more value to the product and experiences that we all are talking about here.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Harsha. That was an amazing session, and thank you for spending enough time in answering each of the questions. And I thank the participants also for bringing such amazing questions.